Okay, here is another practice problem from our CRI packet. And this one is a multi-drug CRI, which can look really extra intimidating because we got so many dosages, so many concentrations going on. But I don't want you to get intimidated by this because it's just a straightforward CRI, just like our single drug CRI. It's just unfortunately really tedious, and it's going to take us 3 times as long because we're going to follow the exact same steps. We just need to do it for each of these 3 drugs. So I don't want you to get super nervous when you see a multi-drug CRI. Again, everything is going to be just the same. You just need to make sure that you're keeping all your math pretty organized so that you don't get confused as you're answering everything. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, just like I did for the other CRIs, if you've seen the other videos, I'm going to go ahead and list the 5 things I always will need. Now for this problem, we're going to need 5 things for each single drug. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one drug at a time and solve for it. So I'm going to start with my fentanyl. The first thing I need is the weight of my patient. I'm going to go ahead too, as I go through with these components, I'm going to go ahead and just convert them to my comfort units now, kind of up here, so that when I add them to my list, they're already converted and already ready to go for me to calculate the CRI. So let me start by just taking that 12 pounds. Oh, I am messing up already. That looks terrible. Okay, my 12 pounds times 2.2 pounds per kg. Pounds are canceling. 12 divided by 2.2. Looks like my patient weighs 5.45 kilograms. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. Oh dear. This does not bode well. 5.45 kilograms. Okay, so I need my weight. I'm just going to list them out first. My dosage. I need my concentration of the drug, my total volume of fluids. In this case, we're using a burette, but it doesn't change what we do. And I need my fluid rate. Okay, so again, we're doing fentanyl first, and my dosage is 2 micrograms per kg per hour. Yuck. I got micrograms going on, but my concentration is in milligrams. So I'm going to go ahead and convert that microgram. I'm going to write my mu symbol there. I have to divide by 1,000 or move the decimal place to the left. And it's going to work out to be 0.002 milligrams per kg per hour. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in down here. 0.002 milligrams per kilogram per hour. My concentration of fentanyl I'm given is 0.05 milligrams per mil. Now my volume and my rate are going to stay the same for each of the drugs because we're using the same delivery method. So my total volume in this case, because I'm using a burette, is 60 mils, so a much smaller volume than we're used to. And the veterinarian told me that I'm going to run it at 13 mils per hour. Okay, now I am ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and just write fentanyl right here because that's what I am starting with so I don't get confused. And I'm going to start with my basic dose calculation. I'm going to take my 5.45 kgs and I'm going to multiply by my dosage, 0.002 milligrams per kilogram per hour. And turns out that 5.45 times 0.002 equals 0.01, we'll say 1, it's 0.0109. So we'll say 0.011 milligrams. Don't forget your leftover units. My kilograms are canceling out. I gotta bring that hour over because I haven't addressed it yet. Don't forget to keep going. I have milligram here. I'm good. I need to figure out the mils because this is a solution drug. So I'm going to go back up and reference my concentration of fentanyl. And I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. 0.05 milligrams per mil. And when I do that calculation, 0.011 divided by 0.05, I'm going to end up needing 0.22 mils per hour of fentanyl. My milligrams are canceling out. Okay, now what we do next really depends on kind of what you feel most comfortable with. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead, like I've been doing for my single drug CRIs, and solve that volume, that hourly component right now, and just get my final volume of fentanyl, and then do that for each of the drugs. So I'm probably going to go ahead and just do that down here so that I can utilize it for each of my 3 drug calculations. So remember what this means. If we were running that burette for 1 hour, we would be putting in 0.22 mils, but we're not. So we need to figure out how long that 60 mil volume is going to last at a rate of 13 mils per hour. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that calculation down here, since it's going to apply to all 3. 13 mils per hour. So I know that I'm dividing 60 divided by 13. And I'm going to find that that burette is going to last me at that rate 4.6-ish hours. Okay, so that's going to be an important piece of information that we plug in for each of the 3 drugs. So now we'll go ahead and just finish off the fentanyl and be done with it. So 0.22 mils per 1 hour. I have 4.6 hours that it's going to be needed for. I'm going to put those 2 numbers together just like we've been doing for all of our other CRIs. And when I do 4.6 times 0.22, it comes out to be 1.012. That is going to round very nicely to 1 milliliter of fentanyl. Let me write fentanyl down here again, just so I am not confused. That's my final fentanyl answer. Done. 1/3 of my problem is finished. I can go ahead and even cross that all out so I don't go back to any of those numbers and mess up. So I'll just move on to my next drug. Again, these seem intimidating. They're just a pain in the neck and take a whole bunch of time. But they're just like we've done all of our other CRIs. So working on my ketamine. I think what I'm going to go ahead, just for space sake, my weight is going to stay the same. I'm going to go ahead and just like take this dosage out. Oh, my computer is getting, oh dear, my eraser is like freaking out right now. Why is it doing that? Yikes. Oh, goodness. My screen isn't responding. Here we go. Well, that eraser didn't like me. Okay, so for my ketamine, my weight is the same. My volume is the same. My rate is the same. The only things that are changing here are going to be my dosage and my concentration of the drug. Luckily, my dosage is in lovely units, 1.8 milligrams per kilogram per hour. That's exactly what we want. And my concentration of ketamine is 100 milligrams per milliliter. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just do it all again, which is good practice in the end. 5.45 kilograms, my weight, multiplied by my dosage, 1.8 milligrams per kilogram per hour. When I multiply that out times 1.8, I get 9.81. I'm going to round that to 9.8 milligrams per hour of ketamine. Kigs are canceling out. Can't have milligrams, gotta switch it to milliliters. Gotta go ahead and utilize my concentration. My MIGs will cancel. 9.8 divided by 100 ends up being I'll keep it at 0.098 for now, although that's something that probably could be rounded. Mils per hour. Then, just like I did for my fentanyl, I'm not giving it for 1 hour. I am giving it for 4.6 hours. I don't need to go do that again. I've already solved that part of the problem. I can just take that 4.6 hours because it's going to apply to all 3 drugs and multiply it by my 0.098 mils per 1 hour. Hours will cancel. Let's see what that equals. 4.6 times 0.098 equals, I'm going to need 0.45 mils of ketamine. Number 2, check. Okay, we are done with the ketamine, done with those numbers. Now we have this last drug, our lidocaine. Hopefully my little eraser will work this time. I'll go to the small one. Oh, it's still not happy. It's so curious. It's like, look, I'm not even, it's like on a lag. Oh dear. Come on. Come on, little bubble. Okay. So weight is the same, volume is the same, rate is the same. Now my dosage is 2 milligrams per kilogram per hour. And my concentration is 2%. Yuck. We don't like percent, right? We need to work in milligrams per mil. I'm going to I'll come up here. This screen is a mess. So 2%, remember, means 2 grams over 100 mils. I'm going to go ahead and use the shortcut and multiply that number by 10 and figure out that my lidocaine concentration can also be written as 20 milligrams per mil. And that's what I'll plug on down here because that's what I need to use. 20 mgs per mil. Okay, now we're working on the lidocaine part of the problem, and we're gonna do it all again. 5.45 kilograms multiplied by my dosage, 2 milligrams per kilogram per hour. Kilograms are canceling. Let's do that math. 5.45 times 2 ends up being 10.9. Don't forget to bring your units with you. 10.9 milligrams per hour. Can't use milligrams because it's an injection, so we need to apply that concentration. 20 milligrams per mil. Milligrams are going to cancel. 10.9 divided by 20. I did it wrong. 10.9 divided by 20 is 0.545. I'm going to round that to 0.55 mils per hour. Almost done. We're getting there. We're not giving it for 1 hour. We're giving it for 4.6 hours. We're going to bring that piece of information over once again. 4.6 hours times 0.55 mils per 1 hour. How many do we need for 4.6 hours? And apparently we need 2.53 mils of lidocaine. Okay, so how much of each drug will you add to the burette? This is what we got. So what we're actually going to do clinically is we're going to go to the burette, remove 1 mil, remove 0.45 mils, remove 2.53 mils of LRS. Then we're going to add in 1 mil of our fentanyl, 1 mil of our, 0.45 mils of our ketamine, and 2.53 mils of our lidocaine, and then we are done. So again, this is great practice because you're doing these steps over and over. It gets pretty boring. Use a pretty colored pen because the more you do it, the easier it will get. Let me know if you have any questions.